It's day 4. It's day 4. How you doing? I know day 3 was a lot. I know it was. I know. I'm sorry, but I got to teach y'all this, right? I want you to have the pathway to freedom. And the only way to learn it is by doing it. All right. If you don't know, I am Ashley Lorraine, M.Ed, and I have a 7-figure portfolio of properties that are no debt, not leveraged, free and clear, and that gave me my freedom. And I want to teach you how to do the same thing with just one property. Even if you just, are getting started, I definitely suggest it. Even if you already have properties that are leveraged, then you definitely need at least one cash cow, emergency fund property to rely on. So we covered a lot in the first 3 days. Man, okay. Day 1, we covered Ashley, ASHLEY, which is the method that I use to teach you how to get the freedom that you are seeking, be it freedom financially or freedom in how you spend your time, freedom in your mindset and, mental health. But I want to help you get free. Ashley, ASHLEY, remember is asset, saving is silly, high cash flow, loans are 30-year jobs. E is for equity and employee, and Y is for Yaris, as in buy a Toyota Yaris instead of a Ferrari. Okay. So day 1, we covered that. We covered what is your life plan. Oh man, we covered so much. I don't remember it all, I'll be honest. Sometimes I just start going off. Day 2, we talked about readiness. We talked about what it's going to take for you to do anything successfully, which are the 5 pillars that I believe in: focus, organization, discipline, consistency, and then learn and execute as one. We talked about your exit strategies. We talked about common mistakes that I don't want to see you make. So let's just get them out of the way right up front. Day 3 was heavy. Day 3, you had to learn a lot. Day 3 was market research. You had to look into your buy box. We talked about deal flow, the virtual team that you're going to need. And day 4 is also heavy. Yay, but this is where we learn. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on deal analysis, and we're also going to start talking about loans because I know some of you guys will probably want to use loans. And remember, as your coach, it's not my job to judge you. It is my job to use the resources that you have to get you to the result that you want. And so if one of those resources is a loan, this is where I preach here. But when we get to work, we get to work. Okay. And those of you who are going to be buying in cash, which is what I highly recommend, now you're going to start seeing the difference as to why I say use cash instead of loans. You're going to start seeing like, oh yeah, I'm glad I won't have to pay that. I won't have to sign 30 years of my life, promising 30 years of my life to work and scrape and do whatever I have to do to pay this loan back. Okay, so let's get into deal analysis. Let's talk about what it is. In real estate investing, especially in cash rentals, we are buying and making our money when we buy. Make our money when we buy it. And what I mean by that is we should already have the property analyzed, cash flow analyzed, even some pre-underwriting before we pull the trigger. That way we already know the profit. It's already predictable. We're not guessing. I even told you guys in earlier videos, we are not going to buy a house and then pick an exit. We're going to be strategic. We're going to pick an exit, then we buy a house in a market that matches it. Okay, same thing with deal analysis. Now, I don't want deal analysis to get confused with analysis paralysis. Okay, deal analysis is when you are quickly going to get the down and dirty numbers that you need to make sure it fits your buy box so you can make an offer. Okay, making offers is not a contract. It is not a purchase agreement. It is simply saying, oh, this fits my buy box. I want the person selling this to know I'm interested. That's all it is. It's just saying you're interested in the property. You should be sending those out left and right. The second that something meets your buy box and you're ready to buy, send it. Okay. Once it's under contract, that's when we'll start like due diligence. We'll do some underwriting, and that's where you get like the nitty gritty and find every single thing that you need to out about the house. Okay, don't get caught in analysis paralysis, and you don't even have the house under contract. So I just want to let you know, deal analysis is just what we're going to do very quickly, down and dirty, just to confirm that it meets our buy box. Does not mean we have to buy this house. I just want to make that clear. So listen, get your calculators out. Now, there is a video or a class that I have that teaches this, I mean, extensively. So if you're like, I really need more on deal analysis after this, I can send the link for the class. Just sign up for it and watch it and practice with it over and over. Because this is just like a challenge and I'm supposed to just kind of be tapping on each subject as we go. I won't be able to go as in depth as I would like to, but the video definitely does. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen and I'll show you some examples of deal analysis. So deal analysis can be very quick. Let me show you a checklist that we use. So this is a checklist that we use for deal analysis. Yes, you can have this. But anyway, first step is you want to compare the purchase price to the ARV. Now you saw this a bit in my buy box where I talked about, okay, some properties I want to buy at 65% of the ARV, other properties I want to buy at 75% of the ARV. Let me just give you a quick formula that we use in the wholesaling and real estate space. Of course, it varies, right? But this is just very basic. Write this down. Okay, you want to have ARV times, for this we can do 70% and minus repairs. And that is going to equal your maximum allowable offer. Okay, let me break this down. ARV is what the house is worth once it's completely rehabbed and ready to go rent ready. And this is really important for those of you using loans. The times 70%, 70% is typically the buffer you want to give yourself buying below ARV. So it's almost like giving yourself a 30% discount. For buy and hold, sometimes we can go up to 80, 85%. We have wiggle room, especially buying in cash. Other times, especially if you're using a loan, I mean, you want to try to get as low as you can. I don't really see them go as low as 65%, but there are some instances where they go that low, right? But I think a great marker is between 65% and 75% is a good marker, okay? And then you want to subtract repairs. So that is going to account for if this house is worth $100,000, I have to subtract the discount that I need to get the funding or the lending or to make sure that I have some equity in there, right? And then I also need to subtract the repairs. So 70% of 100,000 is what, 70,000. And then let's say we need 20,000 in repairs. So 70,000 minus 20,000, that means $50,000 is going to be my maximum allowable offer. I can't go above the ARV for that property, or then I'm going to be upside down, or I'm not going to get the funding that I need for it. Okay. So it's just making sure that small formula just makes sure it's down and dirty, it's quick, but it just makes sure that you're not overpaying for a property, that you're going to be accounting for any repairs that you need or any buffers that you need for any lending or loan products that you're going to use. Okay. And it has other, variables as well, but just keep it basic. And this is a good time to do what I always say in the 5 pillars: learn and execute. You can literally pause this right now and just practice some of your calculator, especially if you did your market research homework and you have a couple properties that you want to practice with, do this formula. Okay. The next is your rehab budget estimate. Are we doing that today or tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow we're going to get really deep into repair estimates. So I'll show you like how to just get calculations down and dirty based on square footage, some just based on the big 5, which I'll present to you tomorrow. But you need to get your rehab budget. It's just an estimate, okay? It does not have to be perfect, because once you go under contract, you'll have your actual contractor go in there and give you an actual number. For deal analysis, we're just trying to get a general idea so that we know if this is a house we need to move forward with in terms of making an offer or going farther. Okay. You want to verify the Section 8 fair market rent. I already taught you how to do that. You could just Google FMR HUD, look up your county, and it'll show you how much you can get for rents. And then you want to confirm the bedrooms and bathrooms. You can do this several ways. Zillow pulls from public records, so they typically can give you up-to-date information on anything on the MLS. However, a lot of the properties that we'll be looking at are off market, so it's not always up to date because Zillow only has what has been recorded publicly. So you can verify this with photos, right? A video of the property, which most wholesalers will already send you. You can ask the wholesaler or the person that's selling the property. You can also look up tax records if you want to get that deep. You can look up the county appraisal. I don't think it's that serious. I think quick Zillow search is just fine, right? But remember, certain areas have sweet spots for the number of bedrooms in terms of how quickly or how high or how much your cash flow increases just based on the number of bedrooms. So that's why that's important. It's a big difference. If you even look over here, it's a big difference between if this house is a 2 bedroom and versus a 3 bedroom. That's almost a $400 difference. So I want to make sure that I got it right in my deal analysis. Sorry, where was I? All right, property taxes, insurance, management costs. Again, just estimates. Property taxes, Zillow, again, is pretty accurate. They pull from public records. You can also just look up the taxes for that particular county. Very easy search. Do I have time to show you how to do it real quick? I can look it up. No, because then I'm gonna get sidetracked. Just go to the county website and it's on there. Insurance, you can just estimate about 1% of the purchase price or 1% of the ARV, what the house is worth. Management, typically between 9 and 11% you can put if you're going to be hiring a management company. Some are a little bit more, some might be a little bit less. It depends on your market. Or if you're going to be self-managing, you can just put in the cost for your self-management tools. Like if you buy a software, let's say it's $500 a year or something, you can account for that in your cost analysis. Utility responsibility. This varies based on different housing authorities if you're doing Section 8. And if you're not, actually. Like for instance, here where I live in Texas, in Houston, you have to provide like the fridge and the stove and things like that. In Ohio, where I invest, you don't. And I don't recommend that people do because once you provide appliances, you're responsible if they break or if they have to be replaced. And that could be a headache all on its own. But anyway, each housing authority is different. But as you're holding the property, especially if you're going to be doing a loan, but even if you're doing it in cash, you are going to have to pay the utilities at least until you get it rented out. So you can just do a quick estimate on that. 3s and 5s work. Water, 300. Lights, 300. Who knows? I mean, it probably won't be that much, but I'd rather overestimate than under. And you can look it up nowadays. I mean, it's so easy to just Google stuff, but I digress. Also, I always recommend when you can, you want to be the one paying for water. Several reasons. I'll get more into that when we get into the tenant screening. Rental demand check. So you can go to affordablehousing.com and it will tell you how many people in that area currently have vouchers and are currently looking to use their voucher with the property owner like you. Very easy. Just go to that website and it literally shows you. It even shows you in how many landlords. So you can see how many landlords are offering this versus how many vouchers are out there. Like one of the reasons I like our market is because when I checked at one point, I hate giving numbers because it changes so quickly, especially with this new administration. But I want to say it was like 7,000 people with a voucher in the area, but only 2,000 landlords who accepted vouchers. So I was like, oh, this is great. I will always, have fully occupied rentals. You can look up the crime map. We talked about that. You can also look up the school district ratings if property grade is important to you and you want to make sure that it matches the neighborhood grade that you want, no problem. The appraisal website should also have that on there. It'll tell you the neighborhood grade in most places. Zoning laws. So I've never seen a zoning law where you could not use a voucher, but sometimes there are zoning laws on like how many non-related people can live in a house. Or if you're like, yeah, I want to turn this into a duplex, well, you might not be able to based on those zoning laws. I wouldn't say this is something that you absolutely need to do. This is more like when we're doing Airbnbs and things like that. Or if you're like renting out rooms to multiple different adults or individuals. Cash flow projection, of course, right? So we're going to take the fair market rent. You're going to subtract your taxes and insurance and any maintenance or management fees, and boom, that's how you know how much cash flow you actually have. If you're using a loan, go ahead and add that loan in there, your payment and your interest as well. Rent reasonableness, okay? You need to make sure that the rent aligns with the market rates under the Section 8 rules. Now, I've seen a lot of times in my markets where they will pay more than fair market rent. But I hear landlords in other places that I don't touch. I don't even know why anybody would touch a market if it's going to be like this. But some markets are saying, well, they pay less than fair market rent. And I'm thinking like, well, then why on earth would you have a rental property there? But whatever. I digress. The ones we're looking at, you guys have already done market research, so you should already know or have an idea of what those rents look like. And then you can do a brief Section 8 inspection pre-check. The main thing that you want to look for, peeling paint. Okay, since a lot of children are going to be and elderly and people with disabilities are the ones who are using these vouchers, they do have strict guidelines on like peeling paint, lead paint, things like that. So when you're looking closely, if you see like peeling or things like that, just know that that's going to have to be addressed. I mean, those are something you can just spot check very quickly. Or like in Ohio, if they have like the old wooden windows, you can already just know that's going to not pass. GFCI outlets, right? That is a must if it's going to be near water. Those are just small little checks. And again, this is just down and dirty, just quick, get an idea about the property so we can make an offer quickly, okay? And the offer does not have to be fancy. Your offer can literally just be an email, interested in your property. Will you take X amount of dollars? Or interested in your property, when can I schedule a walkthrough? This is the most casual part because honestly, you should be making offers, offers, and maybe out of 20 offers, you might end up with a rental property that you actually like and that passes through your due diligence. And, sometimes people pay over the asking price. And so you get knocked out, or sometimes they already have a relationship with the wholesaler. So the wholesaler prioritizes them. Sometimes you move too slow. And so it already got picked up. So, it's a part of the game. It's a numbers game at this stage for offers. Just make the offer. Use this. It's just a down and dirty quick analysis, okay? All right, let's talk about different loan types. Is there anything else I wanted to show you about? Oh yeah, lots of stuff about deal analysis, sorry. There are lots of calculators out there. So you can just use a calculator. You don't have to, do it manually like I do it here. I'm looking this up and looking this up and putting in this, calculator. You can just go to a deal analysis calculator. Very easy. And it'll let you know what you need, how much you need to qualify for, if you'll qualify. It even links you to the actual FHA loan doc if you're going to be using that, about your debt to income ratio. Yeah, just good stuff here. Amortization, the cost of renting, how it's going to impact your net worth. There's also just like websites you can use. Dealcheck.io is one. I mean, there's so many calculators out there. Just pick one and get comfortable with it. Or you can be like me. I made my own calculator, right? Because y'all know my personality, right? I like everything to be like uniform, standard, predictable. And so here we kind of run our own pre-underwriting. Now, this is separate from deal analysis, so I might need to just even stop here because I don't want to confuse people. But we do this once we are pretty sure that that is the property that we're going to buy. That means we've already sent an offer is already accepted, and now we're about to sign the purchase agreement or the assignment contract with the wholesaler. Cool. Now we're going to go ahead and like really dig into it. What's the price? What are the repair costs going to be? What are the actual taxes? What are our actual expenses? If we add in a loan in there, okay, after we pay off our loan, how much money are we going to be left with? Cash flow before taxes, what's our return on it? That's where we really get into it. And I do a lot of these, obviously. Yeah, so you can make your own, but essentially, if you're going to be using a loan, again, that's like a Ferrari. So that's why you have to get granular on your numbers, because if you don't get those numbers right on that loan, number one, your lender might say no, right? Like, what do you mean you want to buy this house? It won't even cover the expenses, right? But if you do your own, you kind of have an idea of what fits. And also, you don't want to be in a situation where it's so tight that any variable could make this house no longer cash flow worthy. Like if it's already pretty tight and, the insurance goes up or the taxes goes up or you have a vacancy. When you have a loan on the house, that makes all the difference in the world. That is going to impact your cash flow. Sometimes you're going to have to start paying money every month. If you have a vacancy for a while, you have to still pay that mortgage payment every single month. Let's say if you have an issue and for whatever reason you cannot refi out of that hard money loan and it has a super high interest rate, you're still responsible for paying it. And that hard money loan has a low term. Usually the term is 12 to 18 months. You can extend sometimes, but you're paying a whole lot of money and no money coming in. Just if you're going to be using loans, you have to be extremely careful, line by line, making sure you do some kind of calculator or some kind of performance pro forma that's going to make you feel comfortable and confident that even if something were to happen, you can account for that. You're pulling some reserves out. You're calculating every single expense because every dollar is going to count if you have a loan on it. Now, if you're like me and you're doing it in cash, I mean, you're kind of like easy breezy. I mean, there's just so much cash flow that you really can buffer for anything going wrong because it's just, you don't owe anybody. It's pure cash flow at that point. You're going to have the house for 20, 30 years. You know, it's going to make you a lot of money. Um, I digress. So let's talk about some popular loan products. What did I want to show you here? Oh, this is for tomorrow. This is for tomorrow. Sorry, I'm like, why do I have this tab open? This is a way that we kept track though, like so we knew if offers were being sent and where they were. This is well, man, almost a year ago. My God, goodness. But you know, when I have my team, I want us all to be on the same page. And so this is one of the forms we used to use before I got a VA who made forms way better than me. But you can go in here and like see where each property is. You don't need this unless you're going to be doing the whole team and the whole build and all of that stuff. And if you are, of course, all the updated forms that I have, you will have. But this is just so you can kind of keep track. And what you want to see is that everything should be past offer. Like once you identify you like it, you'll be here where the wholesaler sends you properties. And once you identify you like it, if it's your buy box, you should be sending an offer, send an offer, send an offer, send an offer. That's so interesting. Aren't you guys thinking right now, like, man, we are in a real estate investing class or training or session, and we haven't even been looking at houses. Shouldn't that tell you something? We do not buy houses. We buy deals. We buy numbers. We buy math. Okay. People get caught up in the pretty pictures, especially if you're new. We don't care about that stuff. We care about the numbers and the math. Is it profitable? Is it going to be cash flowing for us? That is what's most important. Okay. So now we will talk about those common loan products. All right. So we already kind of talked about hard money. A hard money loan is very common. That is where you'll get a loan from a lender, typically a private lender, and they have pros and cons. The pros are they move quickly. You can close pretty quickly. A lot of times they'll cover the rehab and some of the acquisition costs. Your down payment is usually going to be about 20, 25%. I've seen some up to 30%. I've seen some as low as they finance everything if you're like experienced and things like that. They are going to still look at your credit score. They're going to look at your experience level, and that's how they're going to kind of give you your, not kind of, that is how they give you your interest rate. Depending on the loan amount, sometimes like if you're doing these loans for smaller houses, house purchases like 100,000 or less, you'll see that you might have more points due up front to buy down your interest rate, or you might have more fees due up front. That's just because they don't make a whole lot of money on a small loan like 50K, you know, so they have to make their money up front. I'm a lender, so when I say they, I mean me too, right? And no, I won't be lending to you. I try to keep that separate. Let's see. DSCR, we already talked about the debt service coverage ratio. It's going to look at the profit from the house, and it's usually a 1.2 ratio that they're looking for. And they just want to make sure that the house brings in enough money that is 1.2 in a ratio higher than your debt service. That's going to be your payment, your interest, taxes, and insurance. And that's just their way of making sure the property qualifies and not so much you. But also with that, you don't have to like put in a bunch of documents. Some don't even ask for any kind of income statements. Like they want to make sure you have money to close, right? But they're not going to like ask for pay stubs. Some of them don't even ask for like taxes. It's literally the house that's going to be qualifying for the loan. Obviously, there's other loan types, right? Your conventional loan, typically you can get better interest rates with those, but you are gonna, you know, of course, have a higher down payment because it is going to be an investment property or a second property. FHA loans, which those do have less down payment. If this is your first house, and let's say you've never had an FHA loan before, I am going, and there are some rules and regulations that you need to read yourself. You can just go to FHA and just read it all up, because I know there are some rules about like you have to live in the house for a certain amount of time or things like that, right? And I don't want anyone getting in trouble here. But if you're buying a house and you have not had an FHA loan before, or you're a first time home buyer, I'm going to suggest that you buy a fourplex. So, what a lot of people don't know is any house that's 1 to 4 is still kind of considered a single family. It's not considered a multi-family until we go above 4, so 5 and up. So you can use a conventional loan, a FHA loan, even these DSCR loans to buy a 1 to 4 unit property. Okay, so if you somehow get advantage of using all of these home buyer programs so that you don't have no money down and they're giving you like this great deal, I already know 80% of you are not going to listen. You're going to fall for the American dream. I want my dream house with the picket fence and blah, blah. You're not going to listen to me, but the small 20% who does, buy 4 units. If you have to live in one, live in one. Okay. But the other 3 are going to be cash flowing and just paying for itself. So you might have 1 unit that pays the mortgage for the whole place. You might have another unit that just pays your car note and your utilities. You might have another unit that's just for savings or fun or whatever, but please listen to me. There's another program called the NACA program, NACA. It's a nonprofit, and they just give the best rates ever. I mean, they do, and it's character based, not credit based. So even if you have terrible credit, they still work with you. They're just going to do it character based. Okay, you have bad credit, but can you show us for the next year that you can pay your payments on time, and we'll give you the loan? Or, they have no money down. It's true, no money down. I've even seen people walk away with getting money at closing. Interest rates are great. And I know this because I bought my first personal home using NACA, and my interest rate was 1.2%. And back then, my credit score was like 4, not 400, probably like 4, like whatever the lowest is. All the education cost me, man. I had a lot of student loans back then. But anyway, I digress. Those are just some loan products. Of course, there are other loan products. They have a delayed purchase loan product that's becoming more popular, where people like you and I, where we buy in cash, and let's say we decide that we want to get a mortgage on the property, they will give the mortgage and you get the cash back. What's another one I've been seeing? Delayed purchase. I forgot the name of this loan, but it's a loan where it doesn't really apply to you. But if you live in the house and you are going to be renovating it, your first mortgage payment isn't due for like 3 months. My lender on my team is a beast. When I say beast, 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 she will make the loan happen. She is a beast. Okay. So if you're going to do loans, we're going to hook you up with her, and she's going to take great care of you. But remember, loans are like a Ferrari, so you're going to have everything nice and tight. Anything else I wanted to add on loans? All lenders are not created equally. So you want to have some questions that you use to vet your lenders. I have some. If you want to, book a session with me or something like that, and we can go through it together, fine. I don't mind that at all, but they are not all created equally. So some might have different terms. Some might have limited products. Some might have better rates for certain products than others, and you might need to mix and match. Some have different seasoning time limits. Like some might say you have to keep the house for 6 months before you can refinance. Some might say if you get it with us through your hard money, you can refinance instantly as soon as it's ready. I mean, there's so many variables. That's why we have a lender that we recommend, because we know she's the best of the best. But if you want to go and find your own, you're welcome to do that. But just make sure you vet and screen them thoroughly about every product. Okay, I'm gonna hop off my high horse here. Okay, so we just finished deal analysis. I want you to practice. I want you to practice analyzing deals. So I told you before, get in some Facebook groups, get some wholesalers sending you deals, or you can just look it up on Zillow. And you've already done market research. Now I want you to start doing some deal analysis. Okay, you can find a calculator. I don't know if mine is available. I don't know if we only use it for our clients. I'll have to ask, but you don't even need it. Just use a calculator on your phone, okay? And all you're trying to do is figure out, based on how much money this house is going to make you, you want to subtract all of your expenses from there and figure out what your net cash flow is going to be. And when I say all of your expenses, I mean like your repairs, closing cost, um, holding cost, utilities. We talked about this already earlier in this session, but yes, and I want you to analyze it to see if it meets your buy box and if it's going to be profitable for you. And then if you're going to go the loan route, I want you to practice talking to lenders. So call some lenders. If you search lender on Facebook, you're going to start getting so many of those little marketing ads and things like that. Call and start asking questions, start asking about their products. I might share my lender. I try to keep my ecosystem and my team to only people who work with me, but um, I'll probably share my lender. I'll probably send it in an email and you can start talking to her and just getting an idea of what you might qualify for, getting an idea of why I keep saying just don't get a loan, right? Because you're going to start seeing, man, hold on, wait a minute. All this stuff, I got to pay $1,200 a month. I'm only making $1,500 a month. Like, wait a minute. Anyway. Just making sure I have everything set. All right. So we are done with day 4. I know day 4 was heavy. So here's what I want you to do because day 5 and 6 is not getting any easier. Okay. We are done with the fluff. So what I want you to do is start practicing something I call the daily 8. And the daily 8 can literally just be 1 minute each. Okay. But here's what I want you to do. Every day there are 8 things that you should do, and I hope you do them before you start your work day. I usually get up, I used to when I was in, builder mode like you are right now, I would get up at 4 a.m. And from 4 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., this would be my schedule. And then at 6:30 a.m., I would, wake the kids up, get everybody ready for school and go principal and do all of that. But I had to get that time etched out. Okay, here's the 8. You need to every day read something. Okay, you need to be reading. That's how you're going to understand this niche and become an expert at it. Do not pick your own books. Okay, pick books from that other people recommend. So like a good one to start with is like Think and Grow Rich or The Alchemist or The Richest Man in Babylon or something about Section 8 or something about cash flow rentals. But you want to be reading every day. That is how you're going to learn and get ahead of everyone else who's not reading. Okay, audiobooks, but you're talking to a former principal, read. Okay. You need to write something every day. And by writing something, a journal does not have to be like, Dear Diary today. No. What you should be writing, in my opinion, some things that I write like a gratitude list because it's going to keep me just elevated, especially when things get hard or tough, like these days are getting right now with you learning and really getting into the numbers of this and the thick of it. You need to remain grateful. You need to remain focused on what it is that you're looking forward to. You can write down like a vision of your life, of the future you. You can write down, I don't know, your thoughts that came to you during meditation or something that stood out to you from the book that you're reading. But you need to be writing every day. And it's going to be so fun for you next year, this time where you're looking back at what you wrote. Okay? Read something, write something. You need to listen to something positive. Go on YouTube and just put in like Motiversity. They have good stuff. Joe Dispenza has a lot of good stuff. Who else? Jay Shetty, TD Jakes, Dr. Anita Phillips, Oprah, Lisa Nichols, Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, so many. I mean, the list goes on and on, but just somebody who's going to be speaking positivity into you because we need to start making sure your inner thoughts are thoughts that are, I can do this. I got this. Many people before me have done this. I got this, right? We got to get that inner critic quiet. Speaking of quiet, you need to meditate or receive. And meditate is just you learning to control your mind. It is you literally saying, brain, be quiet. Be quiet. You listen to me. I don't listen to you. I can't even begin to tell you how many of us walk around with sloppy thinking, where we just let the brain think whatever we want it, whatever it wants to think, and we think we're supposed to be thinking about that. Well, really, if you're telling me your goal is freedom, your thoughts should be about freedom and what's it going to be like when you're free. But if you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, I don't know. Or, I'm dumb. I mean, I've never been the smartest one in class before, so I don't know. Like, you are in control of that thought and you need to stop it. And meditation is where you practice doing it. You can also do some breath work. And it's going to help you physiologically just get your body calm and ready, especially if you deal with like anxiety or anything like that. That's going to be important for you. Number 4, pray or ask. Okay. Praying and asking is the same exact thing. It's essentially just setting your intentions of this is what I want and making your desires known out loud. So pray to something. Okay. Next thing you need to do is move. Move. It could be a quick workout, a stretch. Sometimes I do yoga in bed, right? I'm just waking up and I'm like, hit some yoga poses so I can move. I've had people who were like literally, she was in her late 60s. She had just had a serious surgery. And so her movement will be like chair exercises. All she can do is sit in the chair and move. And you should see her now. I mean, she's lost so much weight. She's healthy. She's walking, darn near running. But anyway, just move. That's the point. It does something for your body. It releases so many just like endorphins and good chemicals and just it's just good for you. Okay, move every day. You also need to speak something positive over your life, and that could be like affirmations, or it could be rereading your life plan out loud and reminding yourself, oh, this is my goal, this is where I'm going. I do my affirmations for a different reason. I wake up every day with amnesia. I act like it is a brand new day, and I act like, what if I'm waking up and I just woke up in this body, in this house as this person? Okay, then I need to remind myself, oh, okay, here's who we are. Oh, or this is what we're aspiring to be. Cool. And then I go back and like a couple of hours later, I will go and check in with myself and say, okay, I've been on earth for 2 hours today. I've been awake just based on what I've been thinking and what I've done so far. What do I know about myself? And what I know about myself should be aligned to my life plan and what I said I want to do or who I'm becoming. So, one example is I might write, well, I must really like meditation because I woke up and meditated as soon as I woke up. Or, man, I must be a very fit person because I just did yoga. Okay. I'm a self-critical person. Most of my thoughts have just been about what I haven't been doing right. That's not good. That doesn't seem aligned to this person. It's just a way to check yourself. Okay. Have I hit them all? Oh, learn something. You need to learn something every day. So that could be your time to watch these videos or to watch my other videos, classes, and courses, or any coaching sessions that I send you, right? And during that time, what do? We learn and execute immediately. So that's when you're pausing and, okay, let me do what she said. Okay, watch it, pause it, let me do what she said. Or it can be YouTube or whatever it is that you're watching, you should be learning something. So if you're doing those every day, you are destined for success. That along with the 5 pillars, you're going to crush it. And like I said, these don't have to be long and drawn out. They can be 1 minute each. You can watch a 1 minute short YouTube video on how to make an offer, 1 minute, and then spend 1 minute doing it. It does not have to be long. Your workout can be how many push-ups can I do in 1 minute? And that's all I'm doing. Okay. Now, eventually, you're going to have certain parts of it during certain seasons in your life that you like more, and you might extend that time. Like my workouts, whatever judge your mama, I used to do 1 push-up, 1 sit-up, and 1 squat. And I was like, all right, I did something. And now, if you've ever seen my physique, I am extremely fit. I run every day. I'm running at least 2 miles, right? Because in that season, that's all I could do. I had just had a baby. I was a school principal. I think I was still nursing, breastfeeding at that time. And now it's different. My youngest kid is 6. They go to school all day. I can do that. All right. I feel myself rambling, but I know people skip this part and the mindset part is so important. So just incorporate the daily 8. If you can't do all of them, incorporate some of them and just start where you can. And this is going to get into the consistency part of the 5 pillars. Okay. All right, let's get into certifications, inspections, and virtual walkthroughs and repair estimates. That is what the next video is going to be about. Y'all are learning so much. All right, listen, real estate investing is as easy as ABC. All you need is an Ashley, her blueprint, and her coaching. That's it. You have that, you have everything you need. I'll see you guys on the next day of our challenge. Bye.